Hi,
Hello, hi Ajanta.
long time, Shravani. It's really been a pleasure having you on this particular podcast today. Thank you so much. I think we need to thank each other because we are meeting after a long time, though we have been knowing each other since a very long time. So today it's basically your day. Thank you for being my guest. And I would want you to introduce yourself to all of those who would be actually hearing this podcast of mine. And this is podcast 7. I have esteemed Shravani Sen with me. She would tell you all who she is. Over to you, Shravani.
Thank you, Ajanta. Thank you for having me. It is indeed so good to meet you. Such old association. I think we grew up together in the MR world pretty much. So I've known you for years and decades. So, a little bit about myself. I have been in market research uh, for about 28 years, 30 years. I have some advertising experience, but I am a hardcore qualitative market researcher. I live and breathe and dream in qualitative market research. And I have been across some agencies, so all agencies, a short stint on the client side. But also, as happens in market research, we are very closely integrated with the world that we are researching for. So it has been extremely exciting because, over 28 years, you do research which spans across categories, across consumer type, across just across, so it's a huge and very different world, and I wish everyone could get a peep into the world of the consumer. So that is really about me. And I quit my corporate in the year 2012, and then I became a freelancer. I became a freelancer stroke consultant, but I was mainly associated. So, I also am very strongly entrenched in the segmentation tools. So, more primarily behavioral segmentation. So, I got very deeply involved in that. And for about 15 years, I did mainly that. That's about me.
Okay, great. In fact, Shavani, I still remember the first time I had met you in person. You are right. This is my 25th year of practice, and it would have been more than 2 decades. If you remember, this was at Flurries, and you were supposed to be giving me a
Yes.
lightometer for a study which I was supposed to be doing in rural West Bengal.
I
And
don't remember the lightometer, but I do remember Flurries because it is such a strong,
I swear.
cultural association.
I swear, you're absolutely right. When you talk about cultural association, yes, we really work a lot around cultural associations, and all the more with the resurgence of Bengal, which I'm seriously looking at. In fact, we had worked on various categories, if you remember, and it was alcohol, specifically two Bengali women working on alcohol across India, and that too face to face. So I think we have lots and lots of memories. In fact, recently I was thinking about Sunanda Brahma, another veteran whom you might have known, whom I had also worked very closely with. Unfortunately, she isn't there anymore, but then, I really have lovely memories, with a few people like you and her as well. Coming down to the way things have been moving, I wanted to know a little bit about what are you doing now? How is it going? Because qualitative research, as you know, has really taken a big turn. Okay, I would say it's a total U-turn because it was COVID-19, which was indeed a blessing for me. But then after that, again, things have changed. So I wanted to hear this from you, Savni.
Yes, I, it has taken a U-turn, but I feel while it was very turbulent during COVID, and we were quite unaware of how to deal with that situation, but the agility which anyway qualitative research and research in general brings, I think we saw it happening. So it has been quite transformative. The tools, techniques, the way we question, the way we look at information, everything has gone about a change. We have pivoted really well, and I think everybody, the clients have helped us, we have also, the fraternity has really come forward in making changes happen. So yes, we are seeing that. And after COVID, now there is, of course, AI, which I think is super positive. It is taking us to a different level. It is challenging us intellectually, if I can use that term, and intellectual stimulation is so important. Something, I felt we had all gone into a comfort zone. There was some stuff happening around the mid 2000, or the early 2000s, but then how we are all after all consumers, we fall into a pattern. But I think these are very exciting times with a lot of changes, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a long, long, very interesting road ahead.
Absolutely. In fact, COVID-19, I mean, suddenly happened. And I remember, we were all kind of forced, to get into online qualitative. I mean, getting into online qualitative was not a matter of joke, but then, somehow or the other we managed and things have been pretty much good. And even today, if you ask me, I mean, a portion of the assignments that I take are online. And of course, then you have the offline assignments as well. So I just wanted you to tell me a little bit about access because we are all growing old. There are a lot of changes happening. And I just wanted to mention here that I was the ex-public relations officer of Peerless Hospital and BK Roy Research Center in Calcutta. And that was a beautiful stint that I had since I'm a Bombayite and I had to come to Kolkata for personal reasons. And I have actually excelled in the category of healthcare. Of late, we are getting a lot of studies. In fact, I've executed a lot of studies on silver generation, on old age homes, on various ailments. And I find a lot of changes, that have really come up infrastructure wise, otherwise also in terms of treatment, not just in Kolkata, but in India. And there's a huge change. And whatever we actually work for, we just see the changes happen. And that is pretty exciting. I mean, I was just talking about the lightometer, I mean, which I remembered. And of course, after that, we found that there were different brands coming up and there were different lights coming up and all that. So I wanted you to tell me a little bit about how things have changed. And with age, I'm sure there have been a lot of changes in you, in me, and there would be a lot of changes in the future generation. So, any advice, anything personal that you would like to share with us?
Yes, thank you, Ajanta, for bringing that up. I want to step back a bit and talk a little bit, continue a little bit on my journey. So, I was doing pretty well, as we do, in qualitative research. You get more projects, you make it interesting. COVID made it interesting, but like you, we all of us struggled. And at that point, I think what happened was we just shifted from face to face to online. Everything remained the same. We just moved to online. So you and I are like right now meeting on Zoom. That is how we started meeting consumers. But right now, the situation has changed. It is not, online is a matter of choice. It is not anymore about, oh, I have no other option. What is interesting and what is absolutely important, and I can feel it, is that whether you talk about AI, whether you talk about technology, which is great, we or social media, the sense of the touch and feel, the tactility, the entire emotion that comes with physical engagement, somewhere those are the elements we still haven't figured out. Whether it's hybrid way of working, we are missing that, and that's a very important component. And along with that, I want to bring up the point about diversity and inclusion, what we say DEI. And I feel that age is one aspect. Of course, we're all aging, but that is not a big deal. What is a bigger deal is who all are we excluding? Whether it is in, take consumers for example, there was a time when the reach of online, when you think about COVID, it was very less, right? People were still trying to figure it out, and then people quickly got the smartphones, etc., whatever, and they figured it out. But along with that, in research, and I'm feeling this more and more, and I'll tell you a little bit about my personal story around it, is also who are we excluding, and is it worth excluding them? What are we missing out? And that is something I want the market research fraternity to think about. So earlier we would chase homemakers, there were students, etc., but whoever was readily available we met. It was only in the case of rural that we made the effort of reaching out to a target audience who was difficult to meet. We don't do that in urban, is what I feel. Coming to my story, I have had a slight health setback in the last, let's say, 3 years, 4 years. As a result of that, I have suddenly, from somebody who would like run around chasing consumers, to going to the third floor of a venue, all that has stopped because I'm immobile. I am wheelchair bound. But you know what? How do I meet these consumers? So this bit I talked about, meeting face to face, engaging. Not everything is about the discussion guide. A lot of it is also the unsaid, the little pauses that happen only when you make eye contact. The eye contact which says, "आप समझ पा रही हो ना मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ?" I think those elements I am missing, because I am missing, and there must be so many, whether my vintage or even otherwise, whether it's the participant we meet or other fellow researchers, fellow clients who probably have had some sort of a setback, who could have any of the diversity related aspects for working or not working in their favor, who get excluded. How do I access a venue on my wheelchair? How do I access a client conference room which is still in a building where there may be a ramp, but a rumble ramp with a step? You see, even with consumers, there are many women who can give me brilliant observations and points to think about, but may not be able to climb stairs, may be pregnant, may be having a bad day and can't climb. I exclude them. Why am I always going after the perfect respondent, the perfect venue which offers me the one-way mirror? Right? Great to have one mirror, but how about making it more accessible? And here is where I am facing a lot of challenge, and I know many in my circle who face similar challenges, not necessarily mobility challenged, but face other kind of challenges. And I want all of us as a fraternity to stop, pause, make space for them, have empathy.
I'm so grateful that you have said this because this is something which can happen to anybody at any point of time, irrespective of the age, gender, or whatever, right? And it can happen to any of the stakeholders, is what you have brought my thoughts to. In the sense, it could happen with the respondents. We are missing out on those respondents. I'm just revalidating what you have said. It could happen with the clients. It could be any one of us, executing the sessions, or it could be somebody else dropping in. So I think all of us need to become more aware, more empathetic, and inclusive. Now, I don't know if I talk about Calcutta, because I have been living in Calcutta and I've been visiting most of the venues in Calcutta. And Shravani, if I think about the venues, none of the venues really have a very clear access. I would never ever want you to come over because they don't have a wheelchair access. They are on the third or the fourth floor. And the steps and the entrances are so narrow, that it's very difficult. And the staircases are also, old buildings and all that. So I think this is a call to the MR fraternity and the service providers, not just in Kolkata, but all over India, to ensure, to begin with them talking about India, to ensure that there is at least one place, one venue in most of the centers wherein we really have a lot of qualitative research happening, wherein they could really think about this and make some arrangements, at the earliest. Since you spoke about one-way mirror, It struck me, Shravani, that when I started off, this one-way mirror thing did not exist. There have been some venues which have come up because before COVID, pre-COVID, I used to travel quite a lot to the other centers, the Hindi, Marathi, English, Bengali speaking zones and all that. But post-COVID, because of austerity measures and a couple of other things, the travel has come down comparatively. And I would say online qualitative research execution is also very much existing now. Okay, for whatever reasons, there are many reasons behind it. So I think this is a call to the MR fraternity and the service providers to ensure that this is thought very seriously and something is done at the earliest. I'm sure there are options and this can be done.
Venue is just, I feel, one of the aspects. I mean, that is just one. But I think even thinking of inclusivity itself, I think we, maybe it's our culture. We tend to put blinkers on. If we don't, if something is not pleasing to the eyes, we avert our eyes. We
I
avert our
understand what
gaze.
you're saying.
Right? Yeah, we exactly. And there is so much sympathy and pity in the eyes of people. Oh, ye bichara, oh my God. But that is not what anybody wants, Whether, and I digress here a little bit, I mean, whether we are talking about neurodivergent people who have a range of skills which we didn't know of, which we even now don't know of. They have so many things which you and I may not have, and we all have degrees of divergence, right? There could be a physical challenge, there could be any other challenge we all face. There is time that we as a culture start empathizing with others. It is not just me in the center of the universe, it is others. It is to include, it is to make sure that everyone gets seen. It's not my way or the highway anymore. I mean, that is so important. That is real progress. Real progress is, I mean, today when there are more women out there doing things which they very naturally can do but have been excluded, where older people, the golden ages of, I mean, I had my second life after 50, frankly. It was so wonderful because I was no longer in the rat race. I had done things, and then you live a very different life. You have a different perspective. I'm still consuming. In fact, I'm spending more because I am now no longer thinking about, oh my God, what about my bank balance? So you see, but today, how many advertisers are targeting me? They're not. I mean, it's all about the Gen Zs. It is now all going to be all about Gen Alpha and Gen Beta. But where are they learning from? They are also embracing things from their environment. So, inclusivity in various facets of life. Even even for example, when you are out on the road and I'm walking, one is the whole pity aspect, but the other is just making space for a slow walker. As simple as that. In a discussion room, making space for that person who pauses maybe 3 minutes more than the other person, because she or he is not thinking so fast but has very valid points. Do I say, hey, okay, you can't tell me anything? But we don't, right? We bring empathy. That is what we have learned to do as researchers, as human beings. That's something our job taught us. But the environment is not teaching us that.
There has been a change which even I have perceived, in the researchers, in the way they get into a job, in the way they work today, because things have changed, pressures have changed, clients have changed, the way we do research has changed. So there have been a lot of changes. Now, we both being in qualitative and extremely passionate about being in qualitative, I have understood that, this is a different insight which probably I haven't worked directly in. And this was amazing that you shared our story, and I'm sure something good would happen. very soon on this. I would not leave the opportunity and would request you to give some valuable tips, to the MR fraternity as far as qualitative market research and its execution goes. Because something coming from you would be extremely helpful. Because I get a lot of people getting in touch with me, wanting to get into qualitative, wanting to get into different areas of qualitative. So maybe, one, two, three, some pointed tips would really be helpful for all of us, including me.
I would urge everyone is to just get their hands dirty. Fear not. Even today, after 28 years, if you ask me to moderate even a DI, forget a group. I mean, groups are a little more complex. I get jitters. I'm like, oh my God, what if I fail? There's so much of performance anxiety. And it is only natural because qualitative is so much about human beings, it is so much about intuition. We are always wondering, have I said the right thing? Am I asking the right way? Is this person going to feel bad? Don't worry, we are all people. So talk to another human being like a human being. Get into qualitative research. It is wonderful. Other thing I have noticed is, the art of moderation, Ajanta, is dying. Our researchers are not moderating. They are not getting into the focus group room and saying, I will deal with this. Bring on your uncomfortable responses. I will deal with it. There is nothing like your own personal touch and feel. It is like how we, when we are cooking the food, a little, we taste it a bit, right? To see it is there. It has just got the right amount of seasoning. You have to do it. So that is the other bit I want to say. Immerse, immerse, immerse. Take a stand is the other bit I want to talk about to young researchers. Because there is AI, right? AI is taking a stand right now. But you have to take the stand first. Decide what you want to outsource. Do not outsource the most critical human thinking yet to AI. Use AI as a sparring colleague, somebody, because right now we are also, living a pretty isolated life. I mean, people are talking to Chat GPT and Claude and all. Talk to them. Say, hey, this is what I feel, but bring your intuition. Don't be scared. Don't take the escape route of saying, hey, AI, what do I write? So that is the other bit. It's a craft. Qualitative research is a craft. And technology is great at honing the craft. So let it help you hone your own craft, but put yourself first. These are the most important things I would, think that I'm seeing is dying a little bit. And that's why I bring this up. And there are so many opportunities right now. People are, at the end of the day, the human intelligence, nothing can beat that. So, this online meeting, the face to face meeting, the use of AI to talk about this is what I heard, what do you think? These are some of the aspects I would hold on to with dear life.
I totally resonate with what you have said because this is what has happened, in the last 25 years. Prior to that, even I have worked as a full timer in various organizations wherein I used to execute research. And I do also face the same thing at times because qualitative research has really changed. The way you execute a discussion guide has changed, but I think that personal touch and that particular flavor of yours needs to be added. Otherwise, you don't turn out the dish the way you would turn out because you would turn it out differently and I would do it differently. So that personal touch is something very, very important.
When you stand in front of the client and you bring alive the consumer to them, you can only, that's what the client wants, right? That is what they're
Absolutely.
investing their top dollars on. The only way you can bring that alive is if you have yourself immersed in it, like how you and I love talking to people. We love our jobs. I think it's very important to love what you're doing, which I want to bring back in everybody, in the new generation, where the Gen Z is very smart people, the Gen Alpha who is coming up, very smart. But who are the ones hand holding them? You and I are moving out. We are now saying, okay, I want to explore other parts of my life. Let's move on. So, who is training them? Think
Absolutely,
about.
absolutely. Shravani, I wanted to say that, every time I had an interaction with you, every time there was a study with you, I mean, I had to really do my homework very well. And those sensitiums and those need scopes, I mean, they are memories, memories which you and I would understand, and the kind of customers we met, the kind of categories we had worked in, the kind of areas and locations and consumers we met. I mean, it has been a beautiful journey, and I would like to thank you immensely for coming over. I mean, tell me if you have anything else that you really want to share. Uh, I'm so grateful that you have come in, and I don't remember who would approach whom first, but this has been a beautiful experience having you here.
Thank you so much, Ajanta. It has been great talking to you. Like everything else, I was feeling, oh my God, what am I going to say? Then I told myself, hey, that's Ajanta. She and I have known each other. We have each other's back. I want, I want the fraternity to know that we have each other's back. Be embrace but also be vulnerable. So thank you very much for having me over, for helping me articulate my thoughts. Something that I really feel very strongly about is the inclusivity, which because I think because of my background, I feel it a lot more because suddenly my circumstances changed. But my mind is sharp. Today when I stand in front of the client, I still feel the goosebumps. I still feel the excitement in my voice. And I want all of us to be present. And I want those opportunities to be made available to everybody equally.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wishing you all the very best, and thanks for coming.
Ajanta, you're doing a great job. I have been following you. I don't follow you on YouTube, but I follow you on LinkedIn and I have seen the videos. And I love what you're doing and the direction. I can sense that it has changed. I love the fact that there is so diversity. So, just like the diversity and inclusion I was talking about, I think you are already bringing it in. And we are all, as qual researchers, known to bring diversity and inclusion in our craft. So great, great going, Ajanta. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You telling me this matters a lot. Thank you. Stay blessed. All the very best to you.